Australia took some strange turns in the late 60s. Something happened which our past had not prepared us for. The hippie movement landed and took root. Music was the chosen vehicle for an alternative lifestyle which landed like an extraterrestrial invasion. Suddenly everything was out there. Even 60s pop bands like the Masters Apprentices embraced the new voice. Do what you want to do, be what you want to be. Yeah.
It's because I love you, not because we're far apart. It's because I love you, and because you're near my heart. It's because I miss you, oh, how long it seems to be.
We were pioneering, really. We didn't know what it was like on the other side until we got there, you know. And so it wasn't as if I thought, aha, I know what it's going to be like. We're going to have lots of girls and we're going to have lots of, you know, drugs and stuff going on.
Do what you want to do, be what you want to be, yeah. Do what you want to do, be what you want to be, yeah.
As we trekked off to rock festivals, combined sex and drugs, and pushed the corners of consciousness, what would become the soundtrack for this new generation? By the late 1960s, some young people did think they could make a new world. Peace, love and hippie values were going to change everything, even down the pub.
Well, I remember when I was young, the world had just begun and I was happy. I used to wonder about the earth and how it moved around the sun so snappy. Imagination going wild makes a very backward child, they told me.
I don't know just where I'm bound, but I gotta spread a few ideas around. I've no idea just where I'm going, but the inner voice says keep it flowing. Everybody smiles at you walking down the road, you know, they say hi, you know.
But the conservative heart of Australian suburbia was a harsh environment for such imported fantasies. Our musical revolution was different.
Michael is my name, he said inside. Will you pray for me, he said inside. Will you pray for me, he said inside.
Rebellion was brewing. The younger generation was getting more and more pissed off by old rules and lingering repression.
What a frantic world we live in. Wars, pollution, inflation, racism. Sometimes it really gets you down. Every day a new hassle.
This isn't where it's at.
The biggest focus for change was the relentless escalation of the Vietnam War.
And do you believe in God and the words of preachers pray? I'm seeing myself and I still come holding. I've heard a donkey bray. Don't you need the tender warmth of a lady in your bed? I used to know a pretty one who liked the stars above her head. Can you give me a...
Being against the war wasn't only a matter of principle, it was about survival. About not being conscripted to die in someone else's jungle.
You know how they say break a leg and get into show business? Well, that's what happened to me. I got run over by a car. for something to do, I had to sit around home, and I asked my father to buy me a harmonica. So this broken leg got me into showbiz and got me out of the army too. I got conscripted, and because of this wonderful injury I had, I didn't get shipped off and shot at.
Australian pop stars were drafted by the music industry not to sing protest songs, but to entertain the troops.
You're out in the world too.
The first anti-Vietnam song didn't appear until 1969. Written by Johnny Young, Smiley was a very polite kind of protest, inspired by the conscription of teen star Normie Rowe.
Here we had these wonderful young Australian men, Smileys, all of them, happy-go-lucky kids who went and came back beaten up drug addicts, half of them, or in Normie's case, a bit angry and a bit sad, you know.
Smiley, you're off to the Asian wall, and we won't see you smile no more. No, we won't see you smile.
When you see dead bodies lying there, and you say, there but for the grace of God go I, then you can't feel that being a pop star is an honourable thing.
The war was an agent of change in a time of change.
These guys were coming out of Vietnam, zipping their best buddies up in body bags, coming from a living hell for a couple of weeks in paradise. And Billy Thorpe, somewhere over the rainbow, and Normie Rowe's shaking all over, just wasn't getting these guys off. Okay? I mean, obviously. It must have sounded like, you know, the Luton Boys Choir.
The war may have been the catalyst for change, but it was drugs that brought the opportunity for release from straight society.
The Australian pop star Billy Thorpe has created quite a sensation by saying on television that he was planning to take LSD. Tonight, the state government, the State Minister for Child Welfare and Acting Minister for Health, Mr. Bridges, has said that Billy Thorpe will be jailed if he does this.
I am not taking the drug. The drug is going to be administered to me by somebody who knows what they're doing. It's not like I'm going out and taking LSD for kicks.
I had a serious identity change after discovering LSD, which literally sent me from the boy next door into every mother's nightmare. LSD was the perfect drug for its time. It was kind of like one of the catalysts behind that movement that made people look at themselves and realize that we've been lied to for generations, and our parents' parents have been lied to for generations, you know, about the obscenity of the church and state and military and the dictatorial attitudes of the powers that be, and the masses just stay in line, and we all rebelled against that. And music was very much a part of that rebellion.
Yeah.
Before me, the black tracks of my shoes behind me, leaving things I waited for this day. Thoughts of my home, with many I was lonely, and now with a dream in my mind I am searching for love.
Life itself was becoming an experiment. Everyone, it seemed, could get into rock and roll, sexual liberation, and of course, funny cigarettes.
Pot, marijuana, kunubu, kunapu, cannabis.
Wow. For $4.50, you can't make the world a different place, but you can make it seem different.
Yeah.
Artists, filmmakers and musicians saw themselves as trailblazers of the alternative lifestyle.
A lot of the guys in bands had girlfriends who worked in chemists. So Friday night, you know, there'd be this incredible selection.
That was a flower power, you know, love everyone, all the tree hugging days, LSD, anything really, anything you get your hands on.
I can remember the first time anyone tried to sell me drugs because I'd just been getting them for nothing. And they had this handful of Purple Hearts and they said they're 10 cents each. I said, 10 cents each? Sure, run away.
It was now all about living for the moment. Taman, a pioneering alternative surf band from Newcastle, dropped in, tuned out and saw the light. Along with kindred spirits Company Kane and Tully, they played legendary drug-dazed gigs at Paddington Town Hall in Sydney.
You could hardly play. You'd look down at your hands and it was hard to go. You just had to play with your eyes closed or you just get thrown out of time altogether. There was never alcohol at any of the places we ever played at. People would just sit down and listen and get into it, and therefore you could write songs that had issues of what was happening to the world.
I don't believe all your kids should be virgins.
Ross Wilson's early band, The Party Machine, came together when some angry middle-class kids from Melbourne got together to write naughty protest songs.
It was the time when the pill had just come in and, hey, everyone can have sexual freedom, you know.
Ross got busted for publishing a songbook with the Party Machine lyrics in it, and one of them was, I don't believe all your children should be virgins. And then he got hassled by
controversy.
The head of the Vice Squad bloke was some, terrible old guy, it was only his own moral problem.
While some sang sexual manifestos, other rock stars believed they were liberating an entire generation of women.
Without a word of a lie, I'd wake up in the morning, there'd be 20 girls watching me sleep. And there'd be 60 or 70 girls outside the flat waiting, just out there.
Did you touch him, did you?
Yes!
What was the bag?
Beautiful!
Is everything you expected?
Better!
It gave women a feeling of their own power. In fact, we could say we were the ones being used in a way.
I call myself a groupie, because it's become a derogatory term that's used for any woman who hangs around the rock scene. By and large, women in the rock culture are hopelessly oppressed and continue their own oppression, hand over fist all the time, sort of plodding along behind the old man, barefoot in a caftan and 6 months pregnant, I've seen it millions of times.
The new hippie culture had its limits.
I think that's why we were so different in those days, because we weren't fashionably attractive men playing music. A lot of guys got dressed up in pink suits and blue suits and this and that, we never had concept. It was just get down and play dirty.
Exciting and meaningful though the revolution was, it was underground, literally out of sight. The entertainment industry needed a more tasteful version of what the underground was doing. Sugar without the LSD. Bubblegum.
Hello and welcome to Hit Scene. Today a program of surprises. Some pleasant, some unpleasant, but a program packed full of talent. To open things up, the Zoot.
Eleanor Rigby died in the church and was buried along with the name. Nobody came.
Time in our career, we were being pushed into being a pop band, a bubblegum band like the Zoot or the Valentines or one of those type of bands. And we were never that, and we didn't want to be that. And so we thought we're going to write the most raucous, offensive song that we could possibly do, and we did. And we came up with "Turn Up Your Radio."
1956, the jukebox was really jumped. The bass guitar and the drums, they really thump. Everybody's learning from what they did a long time ago. Listen to the music now, turn up your radio.
One of our biggest records at the moment by Melbourne boy Russell Morris, and he is the real thing.
While the soul versus bubblegum issue held the nation captive, Chance more than anything produced a real psychedelic hit from the heart of the pop establishment. In 1969, producer Molly Meldrum and songwriter Johnny Young bumped into each other in a nightclub.
We'd been getting onto this rave. And Molly fought his way through the crowd, you know. That's the one, that's the song I want.
Come and see the real thing, come and see the real thing, come and see. Come and see the real thing, come and see the real thing, come and see. There's a meaning there, but the meaning there doesn't really mean a thing. Come and see the real thing, come and see the real thing, come and see. I am the real thing. Trying hard to understand what really not you're seeing me. Trying hard to understand what really not you're seeing me. There's a meaning there, but the meaning there doesn't really mean a thing. Come and see the real thing, come and see the real thing, come and see. I am the real thing.
I have to say, 100% clearly, that Molly is a lunatic.
It was always a feeling, and it was in your mind. And my productions have always been sort of like, it's like a jigsaw puzzle, and the sounds, whatever.
I mean, to an engineer, you say, hey, listen, can you give me some more tops, you know, add a bit of treble, take a bit of bass off? Not Molly. No, I don't want that boo-boo at the bottom end. I want that.
I think I was searching for those bits of the puzzle that may not have been there at the time, you know? I think it was a puzzlement to everyone else. What the hell is he doing, for God's sake, you know? What does he mean he's going to put bombs and the Hitler Youth Choir in?
I am the real thing.
The Real Thing did break most of the rules for a top 10 single. At 6 minutes, it was the biggest and longest hit of 1969, an otherwise dull year in the charts. Meanwhile, in a paddock in New South Wales, a real musical revolution was coming too. At an open-air festival of love, peace and music. Arimba was Australia's first attempt at a Woodstock event.
This was the opening scene of Pilgrim's Progress 1970. The first of 7,500 people were arriving at a small farm 70 miles north of Sydney for Australia's answer to Woodstock, the Arimba Pilgrimage for Pop.
You know, we'd heard about these festivals from overseas, so, people had gone ahead and put these festivals together and not really knowing what they were doing, so they were pretty sort of hippie, weird events.
John and Yoko couldn't come because they're tied up with a lot of personal things at the moment, but they're going to be back later in the year, I think.
A weekend celebration of drug culture, alternative lifestyles and one long jam session.
GTK was there with its cameras to record the performances. You've never seen so many amplifiers making so much noise for so many people, but unfortunately we had to wait a while for the first performances. Owing to misunderstandings, a number of groups failed to make their scheduled appearances in the afternoon, so people bought beads and hats, looked at other people, got suntans, went swimming or went home.
Have you had a good time since you've been up here?
Gas, man, it's been a gas.
I'm very proud of the kids. I think they've been beaut.
Paying 20 cents for a can of Coke and things like this. I mean, they got to make money, but it's not right to take 20 cents off a kid.
Rockin' me, baby. Come on, everybody. Rock me.
Arimba was hardly a revolutionary threat, but for those who can remember, it was the debut of a new generation of Australian musicians, none of whom had record deals. On the bill with Jeff St. John, Max Merritt and Tully was a figure who soon became an icon of the emerging counterculture, Wendy Saddington.
She was a wild child. She was just a crazy girl who could not be chained down.
Crying is a very beautiful thing, and it's it's a good thing for people to do every once in a while, cry, and singing is like crying, sort of,
All the dreams we dreamt together, all the love we vowed would never melt like snowflakes in the sun. My days now end as they begun with thoughts of you. And I think of you. Think of you. Down the street I walked with you, seeing others doing things we do.
Wendy Saddington's emotionally charged theatricality could cause a grown street performer to cry. But what she personified in her singing was the turn Australian musicians were taking towards the roots of the blues and soul.
I think of that little girl in West Australia. I think of that little girl's sweet, sweet smile. All of a sudden it just hit me. Hey, wait a sec. These guys are black. They've gone through a certain situation. They've given us the most amazing gift, which is the blues. But if I keep singing what they're singing, all I can do is be a pale imitation. What I've got to do is get the feeling and the blueprint that they've presented me with and write an Australian blues.
It just made me hard. Your water stinks 'cause it comes from above, and the food you serve us ain't fit for dogs.
Saddington's Black and Blue was a genuine Australian blues, a chain gang song about the convict past with authentic roots. It struck a raw new chord with young suburban audiences.
Because of, I think, the rise of the hippie, peace, love generation, who wanted to go a little bit deeper than this sort of fabricated pop world of the 60s, there was this change that came about. And it went into the festivals, into the nightclubs, into the discos. People wanted to go along, whether it was drug-induced, I think that may have had a great deal to do with it, but people seemed to want to get a much more meaty sort of musical thing from going and seeing a band.
Blues were getting a homegrown flavour, it was seasoned hard-edged club musicians that gave it a whole new attitude. Live. For Lobby Lloyd and his band The Wild Cherries, the guitar was attitude incarnate. He called his own acts George.
When I was 14 and 15, I'd just go and sit in front of Lobby's amp and just take it all in, you know. If Lobby wanted a drink, I'd go and get him a drink.
The Wild Cherries made the live gig a thunderous event. This was hard acid rock, a long way from hippie strumming.
In the Wild Cherries, I reckon you could play a solo in any key you chose at random in the middle of any song, regardless of the key, and everyone would be there instantly. And you could half the speed, double the speed, triple the speed. You could stand on your head and stick the guitar in your ear, and you'd look around, the guys would be trying to put the drum kits in their ears, you know, to be with you.
Their rock and roll opus was G.O.D., as in Guitar Overdrive.
Basically, that's a kind of Beethoven-ish, Wagner-ish, I know that sounds a bit pompous, but kind of improvisation, just allowing it to build and build and build, and all the harmonics to start to ring together. And the harder you push it, and the louder it gets, the more it starts to create additional notes and sounds as all the instruments are playing lots and lots and lots of open notes.
The new gods of rock were building a bigger congregation, but the music industry was failing to see the light.
The importance of playing records to sustain interest is something the radio stations don't leave to chance. Some stations employ outside programmers and market research organisations to study the impact of the pop market. One of the more insidious aspects of market research is the use of galvanic skin response machines in testing reaction to pop records.
It stuck with cleaner, cuter pop talent.
The blues they send to meet me won't defeat me. It won't be long till the happiness steps up to greet me.
The big record companies were also getting greedy. In May 1970, they decided radio stations should pay to play all their pop records, including local bubblegum and hits from overseas. Radio refused.
Band, 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 band.
We're promoting a lot of little new ideas ourselves, mainly in what's new in Australia, and we find this is becoming very successful.
And you've been forced to do this band, have you?
Oh, we've no choice.
It's maddening to think that it's gone so far that it even got past the stage of being talked about.
There's nothing now to listen to, and with those records, you've really good entertainment. But now it's just boring.
There are new labels now coming out and newer groups on these new labels, so that gap is being filled, no trouble at all. New stars are being made overnight.
The standoff had an unexpected outcome. Local bands made covers of overseas hits, like the Mixtures version of Mungo Jerry's In the Summertime.
I was the singer, and we had about 3 rehearsals, and I finally said, look, I can't sing, this is terrible. I'm not going to sing this rubbish.
Sing along with us, dee-dee-dee-dee-dee.
Mick said, I'll sing it. And I said, sing it, man, it won't be a hit. Well, we recorded it. Within 3 weeks, I think it was #1. Huge hit.
When the weather's fine, you can stretch right up and touch the sky. When the weather's fine, you got women on your mind. Have a drink, have a drive, go out and see what you can find. Riding along on the pushback, honey.
Ironically, the Mixtures follow-up single, the Pushbike Song, was the first Australian song to top the UK charts since The Seekers.
You look so pretty as you were riding along. You look so pretty as you were singing this song.
The standoff lasted until October 1970. By putting more local musicians to air than ever before, the radio ban had also opened the door to the underground.
Gonna see my baby tonight. Wanna tell you she's out of sight. Loves me in the morning, loves me late at night.
The new wave was encouraged by a colourful clique of young entrepreneurs like Michael Chugg and Michael Gudinski.
It was exciting times, it was embryonic times.
Basically, it was just, we did our own thing. We made our own scene. We created our own shows, you know, and we ignored the mainstream thing.
Import stores were all the rage. All our friends used to go and buy the import album and pay extra money for it, and really that was something that used to frustrate me because I thought we had some great Australian talent.
Gudinski, as Chain's promoter, was only 17, but he fearlessly pushed the blues band into the hostile territory of the recording studio. It was a bold move, which the 9-to-5 recording engineers found a little hard to cope with.
The engineer would say, put your amp there, put your bass there, now play. OK, that's enough, go home. We walked in and we stuck a joint in his mouth. So he's off with the fairies. And we just said, basically, look, what we're going to do is we're just going to set up and we're just going to play for 3 days, and then we're going to listen to it all and we're going to make an album. And he said, oh, yeah, sure enough.
Ronnie, honey, where's they last night? Ronnie, honey, where's they last night? When his all taken and you ain't walking right. Gotta shoot my fist, gotta shoot my gal, no. Gotta shoot my fist, gotta shoot my gal, no. Oh, that's how we should get
Chain's album Toward the Blues topped the charts in 1971.
Stan Rowe broke the chain on 3 Years End. Black and Blue, I'll never forget, you know, the impact that had when it broke through and was a hit. This was blues being played by not pop star looking people, you know.
This really was a revolutionary breakthrough. It proved that quality local music would sell. It also provoked Michael Gudinski to set up his own company, Mushroom Records, which became an Australian music empire.
Those guys made good albums. That was Gudinski's great grace, that he formed a record label to record Chain, and then had the guts to record Mackenzie Seri, and people like that. That's what the industry needed. Nobody was making them, someone had to do it.
All kinds of musicians could now make albums. But it was the union of Australia's guitar god, Lobby Lloyd, and the long-haired version of Billy Thorpe that pushed Australian rock and roll into uncharted sonic territory. Lobby and Billy had been schoolmates in Brisbane, but it wasn't until 1969 that they played together in a band.
He was kind of like a little local hero around the neighbourhood. And him and Barry Gibb both played guitar. I played piano at that point in time.
Lobby was one of the tough guys, right? I was cleaner than Kleenex, and Lobby had the arse hanging out of his pants. And I think he's still got the same cigarette because it's still there.
The legend goes that Lobby taught Billy how to play guitar.
You were quoted in a Go Set interview as claiming to be the best guitarist in Australia. Do you think this album's
No, I
showing
never
that?
said that. I said I'm one of the best rock and roll guitar players in the world. I've probably got the best plectrum technique in the world.
The thing that we try and get across is emotional excitement more than sort of perfection.
A lot of it's really instantaneous, the music, and that's what's come out in the studio.
Weren't you being left till last every time to put your tracks down? Do you ever feel superfluous?
Oh, well, I don't have to do much.
Billy could now play what he'd found on LSD, and it wasn't flowers and light.
It was always a drama. There'd always be a drama at a gig somewhere because of the volume. And he used to thrive on it. He'd go out of his way. If someone said turn down, he'd turn up. It was just ridiculous, but it was fun.
Bill was just such a powerful singer. He had the kind of intense voice that you could play loud with. Because, I mean, you could hear that guy. He didn't need a PA. You could hear him 100 feet away over it. And he was born to play and sing that kind of music.
It had a lot to do with that pushing the limit and also overcoming the old school, the old thought of, well, you know, you've come into our Lee's Club now, you're going to have to turn down and wear a suit and tie. Well, fuck you. You know, you're making 10 grand a minute over the bar by the fact that we've got 3,000 people in the club that's had 2 men and a dog in it every Saturday night for the last 5 years, and you're going to tell us how to play and how to dress? Fuck you. Bang. Bram.
From the moment a song started, you could feel it vibrating everything. You could feel it through the floor. All the floor used to drum with the bottom end of the whole thing. You could feel your clothes move when you hit a big E chord. But part of it too was to try and give to the crowd the same feeling you've got on stage. So you slowly built the stage show up so that you could get that intense, chew it up kind of sound out in the audience. And when you did, the audience really responded.
The Aztecs had spawned a new breed of long hairs. Aztec fans weren't hippies, they were dedicated headbangers, and their war cry was, "Suck more piss." This was Thorpe's army.
The music was of the street. The clubs that we played at were street clubs. The people we were playing to were working class kids. They weren't offended by volume. They weren't as offended by swearing.
The cops were less than impressed with Billy Thorpe's new man of the people persona.
I'd say shit or fuck, bang. I got pulled in, I don't know. I probably got locked up about 15 times, 20 times. So I thought, well, fuck this, you know. So I wrote a song called You Can't Go Around Saying Fuck on Stage, and I opened the set with it. And I just used to say, well, let's get it over and done with.
Well, the policeman said to me, you can't go around saying fuck on stage. So he's playing checkers, and we knew it was going to go down, and the fucking media, everybody was onto it. He opened the set with, you can't go around saying fuck on stage. The coppers walked straight on and took him over to the watch house.
Most people I know think that I'm crazy.
He said, my sergeant had a bug up his ass about you, and he was standing beside me, and he said, now listen, Venables, if that fucking cunt says fuck one more fucking time, then fucking lock him up. Right, so that, you said I could say fuck on there, that was the attitude, that was the ridiculousness of it.
In every way.
I mean, indecent language. What's indecent words, you know? Poo.
Billy Thorpe's Aztecs had really started something. Here was a band selling records solely on the strength of live shows. It was a pattern that was to be followed by many Australian bands over the next decade. Radio and TV no longer had a stranglehold. Live performance became the key to success. Nowhere was this more evident than at Melbourne's legendary TF Much Ballroom. That's TF as in too fucking much.
The boys in the band would like to say a theory to who walks in when I walk out.
Inside the TFM ballroom, the hippies were regrouping. This wasn't Thorpe's working class army, but inner city student arties with a very different attitude.
Different? Thought I'd found heaven. I can't remember, I was too stoned.
It was like a little
really
marketing.
friendly.
It was like a little marketing side, wasn't it?
Yeah, and you know, there'd be good, great, you know, sort of wholemeal food, you know, health.
Hippies and
hippies all around, just full of incense and dope smoke, and just trooping.
The Carlton scene included bands like Spectrum, Mackenzie Theory, and Australia's own feral jug band, Captain Matchbox.
We thought the rock scene was pretty silly, with all these macho strutting, you know, guys wandering around thinking they were the, you know, God's gift to women. So we called ourselves the loudest jug band in the world, and you know, it was always, you know, always that tongue-in-cheek kind of edge.
The TF Much hothouse was about to put some flowers back into Australia's rock garden in the form of an eccentric 50s throwback band with updated features.
We got up one night after Sons of Vegetal Mother at the TF Much Ballroom, and everyone, all these long-haired dudes playing long solos and, you know, electric violins and all that kind of stuff, you know, and everyone sitting on the floor. We got up and went, pow, you know, happy, happy, happy. Whole joint erupted. They're all up and they're dancing around, and that was it. Overnight sensation.
Oh, baby, don't you know that I love you so? Baby, don't you know that I love you so? Baby, don't you know I love you so?
Couldn't seem to play anything except, you know, really loud and heavy and slow sort of stuff that you couldn't enjoy much at all, except maybe intellectually. And it's just, the group was formed as a relief for us from that, and it turned out that it's a relief for everybody else too.
I really don't know what to do. Everything you say just makes me feel blue. Come back again. I'm just crazy about you, babe. Baby, baby, I love you so. Never thought I'd see you go. Come back again. I'm just crazy about you, babe.
Daddy Cool softened the hard rock sound with some southern country boogie.
We had 4 good singers, So we could do all the 4-part harmonies. We had the bass voice of Ross Hanaford, you know, do.
We just loved the old R&B stuff, and it kind of, we kind of enjoyed being really, that was sort of laughing in the face of everything going on at the time.
An image from the deep American South inspired Ross Wilson to write their biggest hit.
It's quite a famous photo of all these black people in like a dirt floor juke joint, all sort of dancing around, you know, in the 30s, and it says, "Some Negroes cut the pigeon wing and do the eagle rock," was the caption underneath. And I went, Eagle Rock, that's not a bad name for this. And I was mucking around trying to teach myself a bit of finger-picky guitar, and I was playing that riff, you know, dang, 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 dang.
All I could kind of play around that, it was just, and I play on about half the Daddy Cool records, is just...
Go around to people in the house going, in this place we were staying in England, going, "Have you heard this riff before?" Because I thought I must have pinched it from someone, you know, it seemed really, really good.
Now listen, we're stepping out. I'm gonna turn around. Gonna turn around once and we'll do the eagle run.
Released in June 1971, the single sold out 2 pressings in 1 week in Melbourne. Weeks later, the album Daddy Who, Daddy Cool was released, selling an unprecedented 60,000 copies. It broke all previous sales records for an Australian band.
It turned out it was a good record. We had a good record producer and it got mixed in the States and all the right things were done, you know.
I'll Be Gone had been there for about 7 to 9 weeks. Train comes along, we're #1 for 19, and then we're knocked off by Eagle Rock. And I don't think there would have been another time in the whole history of Australian music where Australia had the #1 spot in the chart for over a year.
Men and women of Australia, the decision we will make for our country on the 2nd of December is a choice between the past and the future.
Time for freedom, time for moving. It's time to be free. Yes, it's time. Yes, it's time.
By 1972, rock had become so mainstream that even politicians were getting into the groove. Opposition leader Gough Whitlam used the poppy jingle, "It's Time," in his sweep to power. He didn't top the charts for long, but it was the end of 30 years of conservative Liberal rule and Australia's involvement in Vietnam. Like an orgy of liberation. And while the mainstream seemed to have discovered peace and love, youth was on the march again.
Walking on a dusty road in the countryside of ease, I heard a song drifting on the gently blowing breeze. Sunshine through the autumn, sweet snow to the spring, going by the water of an old mill stream. Can you hear me?
All roads led to Sunbury.
Welcome to Sunbury.
Yeah.
What are you expecting?
Oh, good fun. Expecting anything, really.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. You're going to get everything, I think.
Peace, music, have a good time, see all the people.
Don't you think it's a bit rough for a bird to be out here? You've been camping before?
Held over the Australia Day long weekend of 1972, 45,000 people trekked out to George Duncan's farm 40 kilometres from Melbourne.
Sunbury was really the turning point in Australian popular music. People came from Perth and Adelaide and Brisbane. There was only about 40,000, 50,000 people there. I've probably met 1 million people that were there that told me they were there.
It was just fantastic. We had a ball. I mean, it was naive enthusiasm. You know, there was mud and there was mess. It was a celebration of Australian music, and it really showed on the first couple where there was no international acts that you could have a 3-day music festival full of all sorts of great diversified Australian talent.
I'd like to welcome you all to Sunbury, and thanks very much for coming, right? From up here to...
For $6, fans immersed themselves in a 3-day festival of heat, dust and hard, sweaty guitar.
Incredible good feeling floating around, you know. Everybody's enjoying it. There's not the usual hang-ups, you know, everybody's getting busted. You know, there's always nothing perfect.
You like the pub festival?
Well, it's really cool. Good stuff, it really is. Wow, man.
You been at the pub festival?
Yeah. No worries.
You like it?
Yeah.
Have you had much trouble here?
I'm not permitted to say. See the man in charge, the fellow in plain clothes. He's down there.
I went down there in my combi and the beard and the hair, and I was really expecting it to be like a Woodstock, peace, love, and that. But what it was up to your knees in beer cans and a lot of aggro.
Any dreams of a hippie utopia starting at Sunbury were swamped in rivers of beer. The sheer volume coming out of the huge Marshall stacks signalled a sonic victory for Billy Thorpe and the Aztec Army.
He turned up at Sunbury with everything he could hire. So he basically just had this wall that went forever.
We would be playing with, say, the equivalent of 2 Marshall stacks each and a bass rig in a club of 500 people. So if we played to 5,000, the logic was, well, we needed 10 times as much gear.
All the way through the show, you'd hear certain parts of the crowd from early, you know, we want Billy. You know, I thought, well, we're going to be crucified.
It was like 8 o'clock, the sun was going down. We opened this little round paper package and we rolled this joint up of this Durban Poison, and we had a smoke of it. And within 20 minutes, everything changed. Everything became on top of me, and the barbed wire fence and the lights and the smoke and the dust and the fires on top of the hills and all these kids totally out of it, most of them with only shorts on, all drunk. Suck more piss, we want Thorpe, we want Thorpe. And the noise and the flashing lights, it was like, I freaked. To me it was like, it felt like an Adolf Hitler youth rally. So I've grabbed the wife, we've jumped in the car and gone home to the house, and I missed Thorpe's appearance at Sunbury. I couldn't handle it, it was just total paranoia.
digital sound meters hated it, and I know that the journalists hated it at the time because they thought it was coarse, crude, and not commercial. But the audience loved it, and that's all you play for. You play for the audience and yourself. You don't play for the industry because the industry can drop dead.
It was an incredibly successful event, culturally and musically. That was the changing point. And the whiplash from that, the circle just came around and went bang, and that got launched into what then became the period that launched Cold Chisel and you know, what took place in Australia after that.
Sunbury heralded the golden age of Australian rock. What started in a paddock found its real following in the suburbs. In every pub and beer barn, big and brave enough to slake the fans' thirst for something loud and heavy. Pub rock would dominate our music scene for the next generation. Its symbolic awakening, a legendary gig played by Billy Thorpe at Sydney's Bondi Lifesaver in 1974.
I was there the night Thorpe killed all the fish. They used to have this fucking huge fish tank that took up the upstairs area, took up a whole area there, because there used to be a wall there as well. And there was this huge fish tank, and it was full of the most beautiful tropical fish you've ever seen. And Thorpe and the Aztecs get up on stage, and about half an hour into the set, you see these fish starting to turn belly up. And by the end of the set, they'd killed every fish in the tank.
A revolution based on peace, love and freedom had failed to convert suburban Australia. The hippies who survived had to look for another road out of here.
Well, these, like I said before, these little guys that come up to me at this church dance after I'd demonstrated my prowess on harmonica. One of them was this short little fat guy who's now turned into a big, tall, skinny guy, Ross Hanaford. And they'd had this band there that was playing like Shadows instrumentals, and they wanted to play R&B too, like this band I sat in with. And so I just went off to their place a couple of weeks later and to the garage, and their existing lead singer was there too, and they said, "Oh, here's our new lead singer," and he kind of went, "Oh," and then walked out. It was very, very strange. So anyway, we started learning all these, walking the dog and stuff like that. But very soon, I'd already put it together in my head, like the connection between like jazz and blues and rock and roll, because my father had this jazz collection. And I realised, Boogie Woogie was just the same as Little Richard, basically, but revved up. And so very soon in the picture, we were getting like old blues songs that I dug up and rearranging them in our fashion as well. The influences for Daddy Cool came from a couple of places. I mean, I'd been buying singles when I was young, and I had like, a couple of Buddy Holly and the Crickets and things like Huey Piano Smith and the Clowns, which I don't know how I got a hold of that, but my taste was pretty good. I liked this R&B stuff as well, even when I was only like 10 years old. And we started playing things like that. I had like Lollipop, which became a hit for Daddy Cool, was one part of my record collection, and That'll Be the Day, which is on the live album, that's part of it, and Shake, Rattle and Roll and all those kind of things. We put them in the repertoire. And I think the other part was particularly in the Party Machine days, I'd been influenced a lot by Frank Zappa. The first album that really changed me around was the Freak Out album, their first album. And his sense of the absurd and the sense of humour was something that we tried to incorporate in all our records too. And he put out a send-up, do-up record called Reuben and the Jets, and that had an influence on us as well. We thought we could do that. That's good. And then I somehow magically found these key albums that had been issued in a cutout bin in Batman's records, and they were exactly what I wanted to do. They had this West Coast R&B sophisticated sound, and guys like Richard Berry, who'd written Louie Louie, the first song that they ever did, who was just a genius, this guy. And I heard the original version of Louie Louie and just sort of went, oh, I'm so ashamed of our version. His version's so great, And all these other fantastic tracks, I've sought him out, and all these people that he'd worked with, like he worked with early Etta James and wrote songs for them, and he had a great voice and wrote fabulous songs, And so Richard Berry, he became the guy, and all of the world around him and all of the people he'd worked with, So I sought those records out. That was a big influence on the sound of Daddy Cool. And then, of course, we had the songs that we wrote ourselves, like Eagle Rock, Come Back Again, and Hi Honey Ho, which all had elements of rural country blues, because I had albums that had all jug band music and 1930s, plantation music and all that kind of stuff. There's elements of that in those songs that I wrote for Daddy Cool as well.
Now listen, we're stepping out. Gonna turn you around once and we'll do the Eagle Rock. Hey mama, your rock is fine. Won't you give me one sign? Just gotta give me a sign and we'll do the Eagle Rock. Hey, good old Eagle Rock.
The classic route for Australian bands was to win the Battle of the Sounds and go to England and try to make it, or in the case of the Easy Beats, go to England and make it, just because they had a bit of backing from Albert's Records and some good connections, and a very talented band, and they made some good records. But everyone would head to England because the touchstone for Australian bands was English music. Right, I'd been to England in '69 and seen all these groups coming up. There was like King Crimson and Free and a whole bunch of other, Pink Floyd were happening, and went off and saw all these new bands who later went on to big success in the States. And they were all trying to get to the States, and then the music press over there was all about, oh, so-and-so's getting big in the States. Oh, we're going off to the States next week. It was much easier because you just got on a plane and flew to New York. That was that, it was really easy. So they're all trying to get American record deals and go to the States and make it big. So I thought, when we got Daddy Cool happening and we were starting to have some action, I thought, why go to England? Let's just go straight to the States. And our record producer, who also owned the independent label that we were on, Robbie Porter, he was based in LA as well. So it was all perfect. That was where we went. We went straight off to LA and played the Whiskey A Go-Go and got an American record deal. Particularly the third tour, I think we were really making some headway there, and it went quite well. We did this like Midwest college circuit thing where we got on a bus and drove all over the place, and were well received wherever we played. And the second tour that we did was semi-disaster because it was a Warner Reprise package, which we were on tour with Deep Purple and Fleetwood Mac, right? And Daddy Cool, which was like, what are you doing on the bill? You know, it was like completely weird. And one of the guys in Deep Purple got sick about 3 gigs into the tour, so the tour got all upset, and we'd arrive places and that gig's cancelled, and we'd have to go and sit around, and we weren't making any money, and it was just pretty disastrous. But there was a couple of places where we went where they got substitute bands in, and the tour went on, and one of them was this place, Grand Rapids, Michigan. So we go back to Grand Rapids, Michigan on this final tour we did. We had the #1 album there. We were treated, the TV station met us at the airport. You know, everything was happening. Everybody couldn't do enough for us, we all went, so this is what it's like. You know, gee, if only you could do this all over America. Because we were absolute stars in this place. And there was a couple of other places where the record, Eagle Rock had become a hit too. But we hadn't made it at that stage on a national scale. But we saw the potential, and that's one of the reasons we broke up, actually.
Because you ain't treating me right, come back again. I'm just crazy about you, babe. Spoke to your dad and I spoke to your mom. They said, go away, boy, leave us alone. Come back again. I'm just crazy about you, babe. I went to the dance, but I went all alone. I watched you dancing and I followed you home. Come back again. I'm just crazy about you, babe. I really don't know what to do. Everything you say just make me feel blue. Come back again. I'm just crazy about you, babe. I said I'll come back again. I'm just crazy about you, babe. Come back again.